Welcome again to Mystic Revolution. We are in season 5 discussing the path to psychic mastery. But before we get started, let's go ahead and do a little meditation. I invite you to close your eyes and just take a nice big deep breath in and out. And just allow yourself to settle into yourself. Find your grounding. In fact, really let yourself tune into the earth, the nurturing energy of the earth, and just let yourself be held. And then we can tune upward to the energy of the sky, to the heart of the divine. And let yourself really tune into that. And if it helps, you can think of calling both energies, the heart of earth, the heart of sky, the heart of earth, the heart of heaven in your own heart. And allow yourself to be one with that, or be connected with that, whatever that means for you. Letting it be in your body, letting yourself feel your connection. Let's take another nice deep breath in and out. If you want to, you can hold on to that connection. You can stay in meditation, or you can just open your eyes and join us in conversation. We are continuing to talk about experiencing the divine, experiencing God. Wendy was saying the G word last time, because sometimes, right, we can trip up on the language and the words around that. But both Wendy and I have our own experiences of coming to that, and we have an interesting place where we met to learn and talk about all these, learn about the tools and things that we talk about here. But I'll let Wendy share some of that, kick off this conversation.
Well, first I want to explicate this whole psychic word that is the center of our conversation this season. And in my belief, and I think it's generally true, that psychic means soul. And so, but we said soul a lot, and we said mystic a lot, and now we're like saying the psychic word.
We're saying the psychic word and the God word in the same conversation.
The God word in the same conversation. So if you like it, please tell us, because it's going to scare off half the people this way and half the people that way. So if you're left at the end, at the end of this conversation, you're our people. So let us know. And this season, we're talking about the training that we've experienced and that is available to kind of take this nebulous, like figuring it out that a lot of us experience when we open to the spiritual world, and helping to give tools to help navigate and paradigms to help understand what's going on. Yeah. So that's the basics of what we're going to talk about, and today how that intersects for us with the G word. Yeah. So that's my picture. Do you have anything to say about that, Susana, before I go on?
I think I'll just add that as I started to, and I think I might have said this last time, but as I started to lean into the idea of a greater energy, a greater force, a greater sense. We talked about it being love or creation energy, whatever it is. It started to answer a lot of questions for me and illuminate things that I wasn't even fully aware of. And that's sort of how I ended up at the place where I met you. And I think that's, we underscored last time, this is totally a personal experience. And we can hold that for each other so that we each can have the most rich experience of our own soul journey. So I guess I just wanted to start with that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thanks. And last time you were talking about like stepping on the path, having these experiences, and then, do we choose to go deeper or don't we? And some of us do, and some of us don't.
Yeah.
And that's fine. And then are
Yeah.
we willing to get help? Because sometimes you can't navigate, or we're overwhelmed or whatever. It's pretty normal. Empaths are known to get overwhelmed, that kind of thing. So are we willing to get help? Are we willing to learn from others like ahead of us on the path that might know some things?
Yeah.
Are we willing to stand on the shoulders of others that come before us? And we can still like, when there's nothing to buy, like, but you can say, oh, if you stand over here, you can see better.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Oh, then, oh, if you let go of these kinds of things, then you can be more clear. Oh, okay. So like, am I willing to learn like that? These are
Yeah.
the kinds of things that are part of this game.
Yeah. Am I willing to learn? Am I willing to allow myself to be curious? I mean, I did a lot of sort of self-study for sure, but when you have other people to talk to about it, and maybe people who have had a particular practice for a while, or you can see that they live more in that, well, I remember when I first met someone who really was walking the talk and really living it. I felt like they were like a full circle. Like they were just like they're complete circle.
Ah, yes.
And I felt like that's what I want, but I didn't know how to get there.
Yes.
Yeah. And
Yes.
so asking.
Yes. And Susana, do you feel like you're there now? Do you feel like you're a full circle? Important question.
Well, I feel like I am much more full than I was in the past. I think the beauty of this is that even in my fullness, I know there's so much more to learn and grow into. What it did was sort of open up a whole other world to be curious about.
Yeah.
And that's the way I think about it now. It's curious. We talk a lot about playing. Um, and I believe there are things within the psychic sensibilities that we've been talking about and the psychic path that actually heighten our abilities to do certain things. Now, some people will be like, well, that's a bunch of crap. Well, it has for me and it has for others. It might not for everyone, but that's what we get to explore on this journey. What does it mean for you? What does this allow you to do individually in your own life?
Yeah. So we have experiences positive, like you're saying. We have these positive experiences of like, oh, that person is whole and complete. That person is round. I want that. And in my experience, there's the wanting the carrot, and then there's also the stick, which
Yeah.
you've had some of that too. That's what got you to meeting this lady.
Yeah.
But for me, it was just like I'd always had a lot of the soul senses online, but they exploded open when I was like 29 and a half, just exploded open. And at first it was like, dude, this is fun. And the next thing you know, I'm like, this energy and that personality and this, like, I was soon like a football player trying to run with, 4, 5, 6, 7 guys dragging along. Right. And then I was called as a healer. And when I was 30, and forget it, then I started taking other people's energy on in a big way. And I was down, down, down,
Yeah.
down. So I really needed help.
Yeah.
on top of the usual empath stuff, on top of everything else, it was like crazy. And so that's how I found folks that could help me start to unpack this stuff and get this crap off of me
Yeah.
so I could enjoy it.
Yeah. Actually, I mean, we have very similar starting points. I mean, I found my mentor, who shares the lineage that Wendy and I do. I might have told you this, where I was sort of at like my worst, a really bad place. And I kind of was crying in the bathtub, and the word that came to me is forgiveness. And I'm like, what the heck? So I got out of the bathtub and I Googled forgiveness Seattle. And this blog post came up by this woman who was a spiritual teacher and also a scientist, had a really great mix of things going on, and
Hmm.
thus began my path. And that was one of the first, I'm not going to say it was the first time, but it was clearly like a significant point of where I literally listened, right?
Right.
Why do I keep hearing the word forgiveness? I mean, you could have looked at my life and said, well, yeah, you have plenty of people to forgive and plenty of things
Right.
about yourself, but that's not what it was for at that point.
Right. It was to find a spiritual teacher that you could trust and who could serve you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this idea of the going to a psychic trainer, teacher training, for me, I was just like, it was anathema. I was like, I'm not going. I knew it was the way, and I knew I needed it. And people told me I needed it, people who knew what they were talking about. But I had a deep in me, I'd cleared a lot of like Christian programming. I'd cleared a lot of, at least on the conscious level, but I still was like inside of me. I was like, I cannot go to psychic school. Those people are, I couldn't say what they were, but you know, not the way, not the way of God.
Mm,
This is not who God is. This is not what God wants for me. This is not right. Like it wasn't even rational. It was programming. It was
right.
deep, like you can't go there. And I didn't finish clearing it. Who knows? Maybe I haven't finished clearing it, but I didn't finish clearing it. What happened was like my path just got so tight, so painful that like it was just like go, or like I was gonna die physically if I didn't change.
Yeah.
And so I went. Um, and what was hilarious, so I just had to let go of this, like, all right, there's this unconscious, below conscious impelling to not go. But everything else, like it was like go, go. The conscious mystic draw was to go.
Right.
And so I went, but I had to let go of who I thought I was and who I thought God was, which is part of the training.
Yeah.
Part of the training is to just let go and have direct experience, not theoretical experience, not other people's beliefs.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have anything to say about that before I
Well,
go
I
on?
think the point about direct experience, especially for people who, um, well, you use the word programming. I mean, we all have programming to a degree, some of us more, some of us less. We are, so much of right on the internet, the media, our families of origin, our communities, our culture, whatever. There can be programming. Some of it can be really good. Some of it can be really soul serving and really good. Some of it inhibits our growth, inhibits us from being fully who we are meant to be.
Mhm.
And so I think this coming to a place where the possibility for expansion like was so palatable. I mean, for me, coming from something that was a place that was pretty constrained, I mean, it would just it it made me so curious and so kind of excited, even though I was a little bit scared too. I mean, I hadn't fully had anybody speak to me definitively about why it was that I sensed things so much, saw or sensed things,
Yes.
and why my inability to manage that was causing me health problems. I mean, that's kind of, that's, we've talked about this, but that's how I got on this
Yeah.
path. And
It's
so,
nuts and bolts. Yeah.
right. And so finally, when someone was able to sort of connect the dots, it was just like, oh my God, this is
Yes.
amazing. This is exactly
Yes.
it. Yeah. And I never would have thought I would pursue anything psychic. Like, that just wasn't in my,
Oh,
that wasn't, I was interested in spirituality. I was interested
yes.
in ideas of mysticism before I really understood what the word was. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that.
Yeah. So we're going to go deeper into how our psychic training overlapped with our dance with the divine.
Yeah.
The break.
Thank you, We Are Historically, for your conscious human apparel. Shop online at wearehistorically.com.
Hey everyone, just a friendly reminder that on the first Tuesday of every month, we hold a Mystic Revolution meditation, and you're invited. Just go to our website and you'll find the link. We look forward to seeing you then.
Raise your vibration and energize your life with specialized Fibonacci tuning forks that deepen meditations and empower self-healing. Get your vibrational sound tools for personal enhancement at energybodytuners.com.
Welcome back to Mystic Revolution, where we are continuing our conversation on psychic development and experiencing the divine. And Wendy, I think you have an interesting story about your own path that I'd love to hear.
Yeah. So when I finally gave myself to the training, then after I was like really into it for, I don't know, a few months, this scripture kept coming to me. And I'm just like, really? I'm just like, I put this on the shelf, put all this Bible stuff and all this Christian stuff on the shelf so that I could do this. And it just won't go away. And it felt like totally like the divine bringing this scripture up to me. And finally, I'm like, okay. So I had to start chewing on it. And it took me, I chewed on it for like 6 months till I finally really got the picture, which is hilarious. It wasn't every minute, but it just kept coming back. Okay, look at this, look at this. And it's this great scripture about Jesus talks about like who they say I am. And Peter says, people to say different things, but Peter says that you're the Christ, the Son of the living God. And Jesus says, Peter, flesh and blood didn't tell you that, but the progenitor, the Father in heaven told you that. And then, and so like I just want to say, like, so what does that sound like? Sounds like psychic, right? We hear from spirit what is true.
Mm.
So and then Jesus goes on and he says, on this rock I will build my church. And in Christianity, sometimes that rock is heard as Peter. And that's why there's the apostolic succession in a lot of Christianity, down from Peter through the church, of having to be kind of said, you know, you're allowed to take this information forward. And I don't think that's what he's talking about. People can. And some people think it's what he said, which was, you know, that you're the Christ, you're the Messiah. And I don't think that's it either. I think like after chewing and chewing and chewing and chewing, it was like the rock on which the assembly, Jesus people, Jesus assembly, not the church, not like the buildings and stuff. His assembly, his people, being his peep, is built, is direct spiritual experience. And we don't hear that in Christianity ever. And like that was what I got. And after a lot of chewing, mind you, and so people, nobody needs to believe me, but chew on it yourself, talk to Jesus yourself. Like that's where I came. And it just turns out that the very way that I didn't want to go was the very way that was to go. And it was my own concepts of God and what was holy and what was the way that were in the way. And this has turned out to be my path, and it's fantastic. So that's what I have to say about that. What are you noticing?
Well, I think your part about, we talked about this before, but direct experience and coming to that realization and being able to go back to all that you were kind of pushing away, and pull that thread out is amazing. And I think, we all can have our versions of that, right? Where as we try and find our own path in whatever it is, we often will just like throw everything away, like shut the door on everything.
Yeah.
And then later, with a little bit more exploration and healing and growth, then there's like this, aha moment of, oh, there's that thing, and that is the good, that is the goodness, that is the light.
Yes.
And it can then help thread your own personal journey, your own personal spiritual journey. And, I think that's, and we talk about the training that we've done. I don't want it to sound like it's some whatever. It's literally like some classes and developing a practice, right? Like, it's not like it's some weird cult thing or like it's like, it's really practical. And if you've listened to any of the previous seasons of this, right, it's things that you may come to on your own, but when you do it in a concentrated way, it really helps catalyze a lot of things, heal a lot of things quickly. And, like we did a whole season on mastering your energy and how that can be helpful in your life. And all of this is a part of the greater spiritual journey. And in finding your connection with the divine or not, right? Finding that you have an affinity with a particular God, goddess, gods. The thing about it is, and I want to underscore, right? We really, these practices really hold space for any person to find their own truth. We did a beautiful meditation a couple of weeks ago where Wendy talked about the river of sacred truth. And the river of sacred truth is your own. It's your own, and finding your own river, and the river that carries you on your own personal journey. And those beautiful threads, like Wendy was talking about, right? The ones that really work for your soul, even from way back when, they're on the journey with you. They're part of the river.
Yeah. And the challenge is to open to that.
Yeah.
And like whatever it takes us to do that is really a gift.
Yeah.
And sometimes we find it on our own. Sometimes, we trip on it. Sometimes we read it in the back of a cereal box. Sometimes, we go get help from a spiritual teacher or from a class or whatever. It doesn't matter. But my goal in this season is to share some of what we have experienced in case it's useful.
Yeah.
And also say, hey, like, we found some stuff that really helped. Like crazy helped us to become this and get unstuck, to really own our information instead of being kind of like roll on the wheel instead of having the wheel roll on me.
Yeah, I like that analogy or metaphor.
Yeah.
Yeah, and my path is different than Wendy's. I think part of what brought us to this practice was similar in the sort of like sensory overwhelm and kind of not being able to navigate things as effectively as we would have liked. And my threads into this are a little bit different, and that's what makes it beautiful. And that's also why we like doing this and playing together, because we can do this even though we might have some differences
Yeah.
in what we believe or what we practice.
I think it helps to have that. It helps to be like, okay, and we're showing it. It's just like, you come from here and you are going there, and I'm come from here and I'm going there. And still some of the things that we're sharing have been really, really life-giving for us.
Yeah.
So, and I do want to say, for example, the spiritual certainty, which we've talked about last time, and kind of this time, like, it's the spiritual certainty of that that there is direct experience and I'm having it.
Yeah.
And there's direct experience and you're having it, and whoever's listening, there's direct experience, and I hope that you're having it and enjoying it. And we might not be having the same experience. We almost definitely are not. And that's great. And the spiritual certainty, which, by the way, we talked about in season 2, Mastering Our Energy, we talked about spiritual certainty. It's different than mental certainty.
It is
or
different.
Mental certainty is like, let me tell you how it is. Here's some beliefs and you buy them or whatever, or my beliefs are better than your beliefs or whatever, trump them or whatever. But meanwhile, the spiritual certainty is more like we're in a waterfall of the blessing of certainty, spiritual certainty together. And I can start to believe my own experience, which is it's a hurdle for a lot of us. And I, at the same time, am totally honoring your experience. That's the important part.
Yes.
That I'm honoring your certainty. And if I'm just like, I know the way, I see it clearly, and you don't, that's not certainty.
No, that's not certainty. And I think the sad part when people get in that is they miss huge opportunities to learn from one another.
Yes.
Huge opportunities. And in the realm of soul senses or psychic abilities, it really inhibits the development of those capabilities. If you can hold your own truth while others hold theirs, or even if they aren't holding it and they're just kind of spilling out all over the place, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you can still hold yours, and allow them to just be all that they are as they are, it opens up so much potential and possibility for yourself, but also for them too. I mean, I think one of the most painful things going on in the world right now is the collective inability for us to really see and hear each other.
Yes. Yes.
I think everybody is suffering from it.
Yeah. It's a lot. It's really a lot. And the spiritual certainty that we're talking about makes it possible for you and I to hold containers for people to open to spiritual experiences that isn't ours.
Yeah.
And to hold containers for people who have different ethical, political, religious, whatever experiences, and listen and let them have it and not try to fight them all the time. It's partly, it's just I'm allowing them their experience, but also I have my experience. It's mine, and I don't have to fight about it. I have my experience. So I don't have to push it on anybody. And then I can hear you about your experience. It's a huge, huge gift for the world.
I think so too.
Yeah.
And what you were saying about just allowing people to have all of those things, and we've talked about this before, and being a guide or a teacher or counselor or coach, whatever it is, when people feel they can share honestly without you knowing that you've got your own thing going on over here, and you can hold that space, it's such a gift for them. And it allows for people to come to their own conclusions.
Yeah.
You don't have to tell anybody that might not be helpful, or that's wrong, or like, you don't have to, because when they have enough space to be held and listened to and seen, it's amazing. People literally come to their own conclusions. They literally figure it out.
Figure it out.
They
Yes.
figure it out for themselves. They figure out, in our world, like, what is their sacred truth?
Yes. Yes. And what's their way, and
What is their way?
what's love look like for them? It's on and on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful, Susana. Yeah. I'm very excited. So this is just the beginning of this season, but it gives a picture, gives a flavor for what we're going to be talking about, some of our own experience, as well as what's possible as we open up to different paradigms and different pictures of what can work for us as mystics.
Absolutely. Great. I'm so excited too. And with that, we've come to the end of this episode. Let's close out with a little meditation. Go ahead and close your eyes. And let's take a nice cleansing breath in and exhale out. And go ahead and do that again, and exhale out anything that doesn't really resonate with you, any extra stuff that, may just be hanging around. Just let yourself release all that Wendy and I have talked about, and allow yourself to open up yourself to your own experience of the divine, of God, goddess, of spirit, of love, of the highest and best good. And if you don't get a sensation about it, what do you imagine it might be? What qualities do you associate with it? And see if you can allow some of that into your heart, into your headspace. Sometimes we talk about connecting with the heart of the earth and the heart of the sky. And you get to connect with God of your own heart. And that is yours and yours alone. Let's take a nice deep breath in and exhale out. And with that, we say thank you so much. I feel like I want to add one more thing. It's really nobody's business what or who the God of your heart is. It really isn't. It's nobody's business. And it's not really your business about what other people choose to have. And we can find people to have open conversations with. But I don't know. I just felt like I wanted to say that. We each get to have...
It's like staying in our own lane.
Yeah. Again, that staying in your own lane. All right. Well, with that, we will look forward to seeing you next time on Mystic Revolution.
Thanks so much for playing with us. Please support Mystic Revolution by liking and sharing our show.
and sign up to get notified when new content is available. We really appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. Have a happy always.
Join us for our monthly Mystic Meditation on the first Tuesday of the month at 4:30 p.m. Pacific Time.
Click on the link in the description to get more information and join the Mystic Revolution.